Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on a calculator to help someone design kilts, and we've just about finished the PleatDesigner. We're going to wrap that up today, I hope. All right, I just ran tests, so those should be good. Yup. And we'll take a brief review here. So we've got this PleatDesigner. I wonder if it would benefit from a title, but anyway, so if the set is the width of the tartan repeat pattern, and we've got the hip size in back, so kind of around your butt, defaults to 2-inch pleats with the military. If we had set it with should be a 0. If we'd set it with a knife pleat, it should be a 1-inch. Okay, we've got the diagrams. We added the depth yesterday, and mostly it's all together working. Okay, that's a big, yeah. All right. So what we said we'd do, there's this notion of gap analysis, and it's this text here: military box pleat, gap, box plate with too large gap, perfect box plate, and so on. That text is displayed in here, but it's not really treated as part of this widget. So I'd like to change that. And that was in Pleat view. Okay, so yeah, box pleat is the box pleat drawing, and then this text on the bottom. And I think we can just move that text in. The box pleat drawing, well, it doesn't know the actual gap yet. Gosh, it almost needs the whole designer. Makes me wonder if we need an extra object that just knows all these gap things. Well, let's pass it in first, and then we'll deal with it. Okay, so I'm going to change the interface. I'm going to add gap is designer.gap. Okay, and we'll go to it. I don't even know what we have on there. Where's their designer? Gap is a double question mark. Okay, not used. We'll need one down here. And whoops. Gap ratio must precede gap. No, I think I want gap first. Okay. And is that what I did here? Yes. Okay, let's build this. And shouldn't affect anybody. Well, that seems a little unfortunate. Oh, Xcode crashed. Let's try those tests again. Yes, I know. Seems a little sluggish today. Okay. Now we got the gap. Excuse me, the gap is passed in. So let me try moving this into the box plate drawing. Okay, so there's the body. It's got a V-stack. Let's find the bottom of that. And we'll put this message in. With the gap. I guess the message should be, yeah. All right, box plate, and if we adjust this, military box plate. Okay. Okay, let's add this. So move gap analysis, we've done that. Does this wrap up? Yeah. Okay, and then the second thing, well, we'll do it after this, but separate gap object. Okay, so inline box plate. Right, so now this shouldn't need a V-stack anymore. Okay, so the box plate method is really one call. So I'm going to inline that. Well, you know, I think I liked it better where it was. The thing I like is down here, this becomes so much more clean, and it's really the conditional logic involved in this. So I think we'll let that be. It's a little funny, and maybe we'll revisit it after we deal with the gap. Okay. So I'll move it down just in case we decide to do it still. Okay, so separate gap object. Yeah, so this thing really shows up to me here that we're passing this cluster of values that are all based basically on this gap. The ratio is the gap versus the whole the width of the pleat. Draw gap says whether to put this information in there. Gap label is the text. Well, it's either gap or overlap. And then gap text. I don't remember what that is. Oh, it's the gap as text, really. Okay. So that's only used in here. Designer gap. Well, that could almost go in. But anyway, what I see is designer.gap, designer.gap ratio, designer.gap, designer.gap label, designer.absolute gap. Everything in here is all about the gap. So let's go to designer and remember that the knife pleat doesn't have a gap. There's no concept of that. And so half this class is devoted to the thing that we don't even care about for knife pleats. All right, so a little weird. So my notion is, what if there were a gap object and it would have the, maybe we call it size, and I don't know, absolute value seems pretty simple. And why is it a question mark? I'm curious if we can get rid of that question mark. Like, what if we returned 0 here? I guess we could say it like that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so now the gap is 0. It's a box plate, even though... Okay. So the box plate is determined by, was it pleat validator? Up top. Yeah, and that's based on the gap. Okay, let's undo that. Actually, I think we have changes we need to capture. Okay. So what we've done, we moved the gap message into the drawing. Okay, so PleatDesigner. If I had this gap object, I could make it optional, and that would maybe solve some of this. Okay, so let's introduce that. And is he a class? He needs the pleat width. It it maybe needs access to the PleatDesigner. But Pleat with required values, we can get. All right, let's introduce it. I'm going to start it as a struct. And we're going to give it a PleatDesigner because it needs that to calculate its answers. So let's do, well, okay, so that should get us a gap object. Let's make one. I'm going to change some names here first. So gap, I'm going to make that gap size. And it'll probably eventually become just size. But it's used all over the place. So I want to reserve the word gap for the gap itself. Okay, and then I'm going to initialize gap equals gap of. All right, now let's make this private set. Right, so nobody gets to tell us the gap. We manage it. Yeah, okay. Again, this should just work. No one's referencing it. All right, now let's see who references this. Test, okay, gap size locally, but here, gap size, and here. Okay. So let's pass the gap as well. Now let's rename this. I'm going to just make that size here. Okay. And then we want to get a gap. So the caller has to provide it. Okay. And there should be some other callers. Just one or two. No, somebody referenced, yeah, down here. Right? I don't know why that compiled. Who knows? And it's still struggling. Okay, what the heck? BoxPleatDrawing. Let me do a clean. Is this thing drawing shapes down here? No. Oh, it's nullable. Okay. Yeah. We'll let that be for now. Okay. Okay. Right. We have the gap. Now, I got to make sure the gap is set. Well, no, this is not even true, is it? Initially, there is no gap, so that's fine. So once somebody asks, when does it get set? Right? It's got to get set when gap gets set. All right, where's hip and hip affects pleat width. I don't know if gap should be set here. Yeah, it's never set. I feel like I'm missing something because where's our tartan stuff, right? Pleat fabric. Yeah, where's that one? Right. Okay, they both do this. All right. Let me move those closer together. It's not the first time I've been fooled by that. Ideal hip and pleat fabric. Okay, so what I'm saying is if this happens, it should be responsible to update the gap as well. Trying to make sure this stays in sync, and it's a little bit distributed. The decision about it is distributed. If needs required values, then gap should be nil. Okay. If width changes, if you set it and now pleat width is nil or 0, then we should have no gap. Okay, but set count, and same thing there. I don't know, I'm working hard to maintain this state, but maybe that's okay. Maybe this is obviating a billion of these things. All right, so I have these things that need to set it. All right, so I'm going to set the gap is gap of designer self. Okay, and I've got to do that for everywhere I set these things. And they're not really part of the equations. I don't think they are or should be. All right, this should all still work. We haven't flipped over anything yet. Okay. BoxPleatDrawing. If draw gap what does that set their military box pleat? Okay. All right. So I think what I want to do now is I want to make BoxPleatDrawing ask the gap for the size, the ratio, this, and this. Okay. So let's give gap a size field. Is gap on it's on designer. Okay, so just like I have a gap size here, double question mark, I'm going to have one up here. And I'm going to return designer.gap size. Okay. Now, who's asking for the size, right? That's the question. Probably some tests, but there's real code here. Okay. Well, okay. So now size comes from there. Let's go to BoxPleatDrawing. And then the references to size in here. Okay. Size, let's take well, do we draw this thing? Do we care that it does or doesn't exist? Should it ever not exist when we get here? I don't think it can, the way we manage things. Let's get down to the shape. Okay. There's the width, but box plate. I mean, if gap is nil, what happens? Let's go find it. We do body. If gap, well, we have gap ratio. Where's the size? That was the only place that used it. But it's weird if the size I don't know, if there's no gap, then this drawing isn't even really ready to go. I mean, I guess we draw, like, we got format optional and stuff like that. If draw gap. Okay, so if it's not a military pleat, we draw this. That just made one up. Okay. Well, I almost want to protect the whole thing. If gap is nil, let's do this. Oh, that's no, it uses the negative. It uses the size of the gap too, because it says box plate with too large gap. That's where it's detected that. Okay, so I'm changing behavior. This should say not enough information yet. Okay, and that feels okay. I could give it some padding. Maybe that's a start. We've got a preview. Let's use it. Yeah. Okay. Well. This will change. Text conform to table content. Why did that? Oh, no comma. What? I added that. Pleat pixels. And then I should be able to make a gap. Did I leave off parens maybe? No. Well, let's. What is going on here? Text conforms to table row content. Why would it not conform? Because I added a field. Well, let's see if anybody's hit this before. You can only preview views. My app is not a view, but an app. That doesn't sound like what I'm doing. Oh, what did it say? Requires text conform to table row content. Sorry, you have to agree. This is one of these things where there's sort of like, well, it's not macros, but there's sort of implicit stuff going on to make the view thing work. Maybe I just had to group it. Apparently not. No exact method in. This is so odd. This works, right? No, wait. Oh, he has some stuff he needs. Yeah, once again, the builder struggles to get you the right message on these situations. I mean, I should have had a message up there before. All right. Test should be okay. Okay, so in here, gap message of size. If the size is empty, does that nil? It deals with it. Okay. But I think we can make this not care. Okay, so let's make my preview again. Good. Okay, so show not enough info for Pleat drawing when gap is nil. Okay, so what I want to do, back here. So size, when somebody asks for the size from the gap, we're going to go back to the designer for now, and eventually we'll move those equations over. But gap size, find the references there. Whoops. Okay, PleatDesigner gap size. Yep. Yep. Well, we don't care about these. We care about these. Size. Gap size. Okay. And so somebody referencing size in BoxPleatDrawing, that's the one I'm going to tackle. All right. So BoxPleatDrawing. Referencing size, I want to get rid of these. Okay, it's the variable. There's this. All right, let's do gap.size. And size passed in, we don't care. We don't care. All right. Oh, didn't build. Right. If gap is nil, we can't get here. So this should be automatically, well, it's not automatic, but we know it's safe. Okay. And I don't know, I'd like to get rid of these nils if I can. But okay, so now size is not used. And we can take it out. Except our test may... Our test may be relying on these. Or not our test, but our picture. Okay. Right. So these... So the designer here is changing, sorry, is hard coded to whatever values it defaults to, which is all empty. Oh man. I can kind of work around it. Okay, so if, well, I don't know. I mean, this was helpful, but these are gap ratios, kind of, and well, it's a function of them. So with doing this approach now, gap size, all right, it's, well, let me make sure the callers are okay. The tests are okay. All right. So I don't know if I can get by with this already, but I don't want it to be delegated off to the designer. I want it to do the real work. So let me try moving the work up. Okay, gap size. Now, interestingly, okay, so this is all designer dot. Okay, so now I'm doing everything off there. I'm still doing the nil stuff, but I'm okay for now. All right, so the problem I have on the drawings is I'm not really iterating over the stuff. The gap size. Well, no, the gap size. Yeah, we hard coded the gap size for the drawing's benefit. That's not really. Maybe I'm doing. This struct seems. Golly. Let me decouple this. All right. So let's give it var size of double question mark. And I'll even make that public for now. I'm going to take this out. Well, I'm going to take this out. Actually, I'm going to take that out too. I don't want a designer. I think what I'm saying is, what if everything gets determined at the point where something changes? We just create the new gap. Okay, and we'll start with size. And then in the end, this is going to be it's going to have to set it. All right, let's make this a little helper function. Okay, gap, and then we'll need I change this. Well, I'm gonna make a, what do I call it? Set gap. I think maybe make. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, and then the size. I think it just needs the fabric and the width. Size, fabric, width, size, width, size. Yeah, maybe that's what it needs to hold. If you knew the width and you knew the fabric, you can answer all these questions. All right. This width is still a value? Yeah. Okay, so, well, let's do that. And plate fabric is a double question mark. Okay, now I can say private, no, just public var size of double question mark. No, I don't know how I want to do it. Let's get these together first. Okay, so somebody should be complaining. All right. Pleat width is pleat width. Pleat fabric is pleat fabric. Okay. And then our drawing still calls size or something. Right, gap dot size. Okay, so we should have a size. Double question mark. But I think well, the expedient way is to do the same thing as in here. Pleat size, gap size. Okay, I'm kind of circling around again. But I kind of wonder if we should just do this at initialization time. And I guess for us, private var needs required values. Boolean is pleat width equals nil, or pleat fabric equals nil. Okay. And then this is redundant. Okay, if return this, then pleat width, pleat fabric. Okay, I think that's okay. All right, so let's go to set gap. Okay, it creates the gap with these two values, and then the pleat drawing can access it. And then this, yeah, we don't need that anymore. Okay, let's do pleat width is inches to Okay. Oh. Oh, come on. Oh. Does it really hate that much, creating that? Static var gap equals this. Pleat with edges too. Okay. Oh, just 6. 6. Okay. Yeah, once again, misleading message. All right. Should pass tests. Designer.gap. Where's this? Pleat view. Designer.gap. What is the problem? Okay, I'm going to give myself 2 minutes to figure it out. Otherwise, we revert. Okay, so it seems that if I print designer, designer is not there. Well, why is designer not there? This is... Oh. No, we have a designer somewhere. Yeah, there's designer. How weird. Bad access. Okay. Is there a gap on the designer? Yeah, I think there still is. Maybe I messed that up, though. Ooh. Yeah. So private set should be public to access. That should be there. It might not be. It might be nil. And this is frozen. Try this again with the rebuild. Because we were taking things in and putting them out and swapping. Okay, that looks okay. Maybe I'm going to stop this. Oh, that just seems like Xcode. Okay. Yeah, Xcode is not good. All right. I mean, I don't know if it's certainly possible I did something to deserve this. But okay, we're back here. The drawing worked a moment ago. I don't know if well, it's got to restart, I guess. Okay, so that seems okay. Let's run unit tests. It sounds better. At least it tried to run the tests. Okay. Wasn't quite 2 minutes, but given it was Xcode, I'll cut myself a break here. Okay, so what have we done? We've removed size from BoxPleatDrawing. Okay. And now we use the gap, we get it from the gap. And let's change that. Okay. In here, we're making the gap work from its prerequisite values. And we added set gap. Okay, so all in all, I'd say we make drawing go to the gap object to get its size calculated like designer currently does. Okay. I feel like that vindicates the path run a little bit. That it can do some work for us. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. Oh, but I think nobody's using this now, except probably some tests. Now, can I get rid of that double? All right. Well, the easy step would be to say, now you get it from gap.size. You don't calculate it. Okay. And I think we'll, okay, we'll do that. So if gap is nil, it's going to return nil, I guess. If it's not nil, then we get the size. Good. Okay. And maybe that's enough of an intermediate stage here. Yeah, I think we've got the pattern now. I'll double check who these people are accessing it. Hopefully it's just tests. Oh, we got this one. Okay, yeah, let's go address that one. So draw gap is calling Pleat validator, and I want to move this calculation. Well, gap size, yeah, we can move this inside. So this, and then BoxPleatDrawing. Where's his init? Box. Oh, what was it? Millet. No, it's view. Pleat. Well, this one should draw a gap. Let's give our gap a should draw method. Which I'm not fond of Boolean methods, but okay. Should draw, and now that's going to come from, well, it's actually coming from this. Okay. And then BoxPleat is calling should draw somewhere. Whoops, BoxPleatDrawing calls draw gap. Okay. So now that's going to go away. If draw gap is now if gap dot should draw, and no, what's the complaint? Well, how is that even right? If gap question should draw not nil, that doesn't seem right. Okay. Well, I think once again we're doing this. We know we do not have a nil gap. So let me just do it this way. Okay. If gap should draw gap no longer needed. Draw gap no longer needed. Okay, and we'll just run this, make sure. I was saying last night, we have a group that gets together most Tuesdays to talk about code, and like, I'm kind of regretting not doing some UI tests for this stuff. Okay, so I guess the value gets set. If it becomes a military pleat, so like 1 is a military pleat, and it doesn't draw the gap. Okay. All right, so that's good. Not 100% sure on the name, but okay. All right, what else we got? Format optional, designer.absolute gap. Well, let's do absolute gap. Oh, I can also do PleatDesigner. Oh, should draw doesn't exist on here. Okay. Absolute gap does though. So let's take this. Absolute gap, double. And it's going to take the code from here. Okay. And now this becomes gap dot absolute. I'll want to change that name at some point. Let's see who uses this. Okay, tests, a variable, and then here. Okay, so the gap text is this. PleatDesigner drawing. Gap text. It was format optional. Designer.absolute gap, but it's not. It's really gap. Format optional. Gap. Okay. And format optional was defined on designer. Oh, is it on view? Let's take this. We'll pull it in here for now. I might even leave it as top level. Make it private. Okay. Now that's gap text. Take it off here. And here. Well, it hasn't. It feels like we're going in a good direction. Stuff's getting smaller. All right, now gap label. Well, okay, make sure everything's together. Right. Let me make this absolute size. Okay. Yeah. I think we're heading that way with this, and this probably goes away. Definitely, this one definitely is a sign of that problem. Um, that is more text. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can flip that logic out, but yeah, we'll see if we can get it closer that way. Go in the layout, move to a simple class. And I think, I mean, there's there's more to do for this, I think, but we should be able to test the gap separately when we care about it, and maybe more directly. Okay, so gap. Why do we need these pixels? Let me put a little padding on here. Well, I guess, I mean, what I'm looking at here is Pleat view, box Pleat, wherever it got to. Who references Pleat pixels? I don't think it's anybody. I think it's hard coded out here, and I think we could move that down too. Pleat pixels is this width. We'll probably have to adjust the dimension line, maybe. I don't know. Let me change this. Well, I don't think that looks bad. And if we do a military, it's definitely no worse. Yeah. Let's take that. All right, let's get rid of Pleat pixels then. Pleat, BoxPleatDrawing. Okay. I'll make this private. I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's much more interactive. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right, gap label. Okay, so test. Yeah, test. And only for the benefit of this. Okay. So I think we can take this off. Well, let's go the other way. Let's trying gap label. Gap label. Okay. Okay, we know gap is legit. Actually, this one can be a bang too. I'm just going to call it label there. Gap. Okay. Now, this should no longer be needed. Sorry, BoxPleatDrawing. Label. Okay, so he calls gap.label. So he doesn't need gap label. And PleatDesign, oops, Pleat view calls box with gap label. And the drawing. Okay, so gap ratio is the only one left. I think it's late enough. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll get gap ratio put together. And then I think we're going to kind of split some files and then see what else is left. All right. And then I think we're going to have to do some test adjustments because we probably should test this gap separately and maybe not test it so hard in the designer tests. All right, so 3 or 4 minutes and we'll come back and clean up some more. Welcome back. Okay, let's see. So gap label, I don't know who references this now, if anybody. Some tests. This file, tests, Pleat with, that doesn't seem correct. I think that's leftover. Okay, so tests. Well, why does it think they're in there? Okay, that one does. All right, well, those tests do. We'll let them have the same access. So it's gap dot label else empty. Let's see what we do up here. Well, it's really that or gap. Okay, well, it's going to go away. Value of optional type gap must be unwrapped to refer to label. Okay, again, test should be okay. Okay. And our last one we're going to get rid of is gap ratio. All right, let's give this thing a ratio. Pretty sure it was type double. Well, no, it's a good old CG float. Xcode's getting a little weird here. Where's the gap ratio? Okay. Let's delegate this one. Ratio L0. I'm not sure why that's a CG float over here. I'm missing something. Is it this that's messing it up? Because it's ints coming in. Should tell us where to fix it. Gap ratio is gap dot ratio. Comes off here. Oh, wait. Yeah, there's the CG floats coming in. There it is. I think the CG point just uses that all over the place. It's unfortunate. I thought they were going to start automatically translating these. Okay. Yeah, I think that's maybe the easy way to go. I probably should fix that as an interface issue and translate it inside or something. Let's run this. Yeah, that's looking okay. It's 3 should be, yeah, so 2.5. I'm trying to get not too large of a gap. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good. All right, so move gap ratio to gap. Okay, now, whoops. Let's fix that. Oh, sorry, let me look what else we got going. Yeah, let's fix this. Play that, except we want this to be double. We'll cast them here. And then we should get a complaint at the call site. And this can be a double now. Okay. All right, now. Well, let's split things up. Oh no, there's something else I wanted to do. Gap designer. Yeah, so this label, let's find the usages there. Notice this, all that, like, why don't I just make the label do all this? So I'm going to make that happen. That's going to change some tests, but I'll live with that. I just don't think there's that many tests that will care. Designer. Okay, so the label is, if size is nil, okay, I'm going to put all this in. Maybe just once. Okay, format optional absolute size. Look like we're missing print. Well, okay, let's just make this. Okay, now any test, whoops. Any test that format optional floating around here. Where is that thing? Well, I'm going to put that in here for now. If value equals nil, can't find gap. Where did absolute size? Oh, there it is. Okay. Right, so here I'm just going to go gap.label, which is already a string, so there's no point in wrapping it in that. Okay. And I know we checked the label at least a few times in the test, so we'll have to play with those. Just a couple. Okay. And Okay. And I think that's it. Okay, and now where's that absolute gap? Who references this? I don't think it's anybody that cares. Okay. I don't think I need to test that when I've got the 1 4/8, which is 1.5 right there. Same here. Okay, so now nobody references this. Okay. Okay, and then now absolute size is only used here, I think. Right. And if size is nil, then this let's do this. If size is nil, return let's just return nothing. I don't think anybody's going to break from that. Okay. Now we know size is not nil. If size is greater than or equal to 0, then gap, otherwise overlap. And then here we know it's not nil, so we can just say absolute value of size. And nobody's referencing this anymore. Okay, now make sure that's good. Okay, now what I really want to get rid of these question marks. See, I think you're only the only time you're asking for the size, you should know it's there. Okay, so this one in the text, we know it's there. Because we won't put, if there's no size, there's no point in doing any of this. So that should be okay. But there's maybe a couple places that check this thing. So this size, okay, find usages. That's in here. Size. Right. This is the only place that looks at that size. But if he's I guess we got to look at the PleatDesigner, this one. Who out there, like nobody should really be using this. Maybe we'll deal with the tests. Okay, so we have it defined, but only tests look at it. Okay. So I think it would be fair to say designer.gap.size. Gap is banged. And then, okay, I guess we'll fix the access and then we'll fix the exclamation point. Well, here's a ratio. Let's get that while we're at it. Gap, yes. Most of these asserts don't really need the bang on there because, I mean, the bang on the size because their exert equal will fail if it's different. See, I'm going to assert that gap is nil here. I think that's what we care about. We might be able to do that. Yeah, I think same thing. These really are about the gap being nil. Now. Okay. All right, do these tests, I'll pass. If size is now you get another text. Yeah, but I think if size is nil, we won't be looking at this stuff because the only thing that really needs to know the gap is that drawing stuff. I guess nil. If designer gap size is nil, we're saying designer.gap should be nil. And then the ratio, do we check? Well, if the gap is nil, we don't have anything to get the ratio from. The set nil makes pleat variably with gap be nil. I don't think this makes sense. Okay, let's check the others. Oh, whoops. Did I do that a lot? Acted a little odd. Okay. Make tests look in gap to get size, etc. Rather than PleatDesigner. Okay, so now PleatDesigner, I want, well, first off, is anybody accessing size now? Hopefully no. Okay. Gap.size. Hopefully I just missed those. Oh, once again. Okay, good. And I think same thing here. We've got most of them. Yep. And here. Okay. Yeah. All right. Delete unused gap fields from PleatDesigner. Okay, now this is where, okay, I want to get rid of this. And if the values aren't there, you shouldn't be asking. But I don't mind returning a 0 either. Because I think at this point, we used to use size as the flag to say, if size was nil, then there's no gap and, quit looking and all that. Now, if that's the case, we don't even draw the thing. We don't even try to look at the gap. And I think I can move that up. Okay, so, whoops. Apparently not. Okay. Oh, with animation returns one thing. All right. Now, if size is nil, so that should not happen. And if it is 0, we want to say gap just kind of by default. All right. Size is nil. Can't happen. If pleat width is nil, return 0. I think that's okay. And otherwise, pleat width as double. All right, now is anybody else? All right. Maybe some tests. There may still be a test or two that was checking that. Gap. Size, okay. Size, yeah. In a way, I feel like the price of that is we have to check this size before we do something, but we were checking it anyway, so it's not really extra, and mostly it's not. I don't think you should ever really need the size if these aren't there. So I think it's more defensive maybe than useful. Okay, so have I got all the question marks out of those? Yes. All right, I'm happy about that. All right, so let's pull this thing into its own class or file. Well, I think we need foundation to get absolute value. Whoops. Oh, we need switch behind, yeah. Okay, I like what this has done here. I mean, we still have to, it's kind of like the equations that the designer is maintaining a relationship between the values via the equations, and then it's also maintaining the gap information based on the results of that, because fabric and width come out of that. It does require us to modify both, but I think that price is not bad, and I'm certainly happy to get the 4 or 5 methods we had and all the overhead of those out of here. Okay, so that's a good one. Let's see, pleat view. The focus, I don't mind. There's still a lot going on. Okay. Now this, whoops, let me go back to view. I think I want to look at this, and let's review inlining that again. Because it's a one-liner now, so I think it's pretty good. In a way, it's nicer with a one-liner to say, oh, I'm drawing the box pleat or the knife pleat. Feels pretty good to me. I'm not so big on that format optional there, but okay. All right. Yeah, can I move the format inside? Yeah. Do I need to check if gap is nil when we draw the gap label? Yeah, that's already done because the whole where's the box plate drawing? The whole thing is guarded by this check for nil. So any of these things that use gap stuff down here are fine. But the format, that's, I mean, I certainly can pull the one. We've also got the size. I don't know. Format opt. Okay, so knife pleat drawing. What's format optional doing? Depth. Value nil. Well, what can we get rid of the double there? I mean, the question mark there. Who uses that? Knife pleat drawing. Well, honestly, I think he should do the same thing. If his information is not there, depth text. Well, okay, we can certainly pull the value in. But I think if, okay, let's do that, yeah. We'll pass depth is designer.depth. And var depth is double question mark. Okay, and then I guess if I do init, I'm not going to default it. Oh, and I pulled that out before. Consecutive lines. Oh. Okay. Now, can I get rid of that question mark? I think I can. All right. Let's deal with this first. So, sorry, where's that knife pleat drawing? Okay, depth is under.depth. All right. Now, I think I feel like I want to pull this up. Can I do that? I don't know. I'm going back and forth. Okay, wait. Let's make sure this is checked in. Okay, so if depth is nil, I think I want to do this up here instead. If designer.depth is nil, then this, else this. And this is text, not enough information yet. And I want to do the same thing here. Same kind of thing here. If designer.gap is nil, do this, else do this. Okay, so I don't know. It's making it bigger, but I feel like this is stronger if this is not here. One level. Okay, but now knife plate drawing. Okay, but now I know the depth is not nil. Okay, so knife plate drawing depth is double. And this is double. And format optional, we know it's not nil. So it's just this. Which I could almost inline. This is on depth. Depth. Okay, now I don't need format optional. So we're promising there will be a depth. Okay. Actually, I guess I got just kind of. Okay. Now, is there anybody else that's... I guess only the text cared in this case. All right, so we did make a change in the format, yeah. Don't need to get the depth. Oh, good point. Yeah, nobody's looking at the depth. Yeah. Okay. Good. Where are you? BoxPleatDrawing. It's the editor's Xcode. It's just annoying me today. There's a flag that says if there's totally blank lines, take care of it. I don't know if I save. Did it get them all? No. There's not an action on this, is there? No. All right, once again. Why doesn't the format remove those blanks? Not sure which blanks you're thinking of. Do we still have a format in here? No. Okay. Thought I saw one more. Okay, format optional designer total fabric. Again. So in this case, it's like if there is no total fabric, like you haven't designed the set yet, or you haven't told me the size, I guess question mark is okay. I mean, is it better? I don't know. I guess this one, right? We could say whoever looks at total fabric. No. When requires field set. I mean, I could make designer do the formatting. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to. It's not even supposed to put them. Well, I don't know what reformat does, but the editor setting says if you have a blank line, a line with all blanks, you should turn it into an empty line. Okay, so nobody's calculating with this; they're just looking at it. Okay, so let's take that off the view. And we'll put it on the designer. All right, and then total fabric. Saying this thing returns a string. So if it's this, we're just returning that. Otherwise, we're returning inches. Total formatted as inches. Okay. All right. I can live with that. If we ever have to do calculations, I'll regret it, but I don't see that happening. So these nils should go to question marks. Text is just designer.totalfabric. Oh, yeah, maybe I gotta do that. It's an Xcode bug because some days it works, but I don't know. Xcode seems to. We already crashed it once or twice here. Okay, so Pleat view still big-ish. I mean, I could break up those sections, but I think for now we're late in the day here, so I'm not going to tackle anything too big on that front. But it's improved. We simplified the parameters going into this stuff, and it helped a lot. Okay. Now, well, let's close it for that. Separate gap object. Okay, that was a yes. I guess it was create a separate gap object using that instead of values on PleatDesigner. And we inline those two. This is all my pleats. Okay, so now we're just going through the rest. That's okay. There's still a little coordination going on here. Okay. Pleat drawing. Okay, so I think I don't know, do I want this shape out of here? I think I'll keep that in here. And same for this one. It's a little bigger. The box pleat is just trickier. Gap. Box pleat drawing. I think this gap we can get rid of, right? Pleat view. Gap designer dot gap. Let's make it required like we did the other one. Okay. And then there's going to be some exclamation points that we can take out. Gotta be more. Okay, here's one. We looked at view. We've gone through these. Gap. Size should draw, label, ratio. Okay. Well, I think we are done with knife pleats. All right. That's been a big journey. Okay. So what I want to do tomorrow is take a look at some of these leftover things we've been accumulating. If I can do the research on this one, we'll tackle that. I've got this notion of, well, there was a request for a decimal formatter, so maybe we'll do that in the calculator. That's pretty straightforward, I think. It's kind of where we started in some ways. Handle fractions. Yeah, we have a couple places where that would be handy, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. This stuff, the other one I wanted to do is EG test. Oh, that's a future. Okay, let's move these up. Okay, so we added a few extensions to EG test for our testing here. Being as I'm the owner of the project, there's no reason not to move it into the full-blown EG test application and take it out of our stuff here. So I think we'll do that. And, well, there's a comma format somewhere. Yeah. All right. Just the numbers get a little long sometimes. I don't know. It's not. Nobody's working with 40 million thousand, inches of fabric for this thing. Maybe this is not a. I mean, 10 yards is 360 inches. I'm going to drop this. If it were a real calculator, I'd be more tempted. Okay, and then remember the last tab. Let's get that one going. I guess I'll eat my dinner before my pudding. All right, but we've had to go in here and click this an extra time. So yeah, I think that'll give us a good agenda. I don't think we'll get past these first 15 lines if we even get there. And then some of these are more just notes. All right. Well, thanks today. Thanks for the last few weeks. We've got this new scheme done. I'll get this in my wife's hands and let her tear it apart, and we'll come back around a little bit, I'm sure. But it's been a good stretch. All right. So I'll see you tomorrow, or whenever, 2 to 4:30 Eastern Time, 6 to 8:30 p.m. UTC. Thanks again for joining. Bye-bye.